Hey Doc, one of the questions that I've always wanted to ask a big time college football NFL coordinator
I'm
is
not big time.
what's well, I mean, Division One. It's I mean, you guys are going to Penn State September 19th. That's big time. What's your philosophy on field versus booth coordinating? I've always been fascinated by who decides to go up in the booth and who decides to be down on the field and being, with their players. Does the head coach play a role in kind of dictating, if a coordinator's up in the booth or down on the field? And I don't feel like I ever see anyone kind of do it by matchup, but I've always wondered, like, maybe versus like a spread team, a spread offense, that you really want to see the spacing and who's doing what, and the route combinations and stuff. Maybe up in the booth for that type of matchup is better, but maybe a more physical running matchup, maybe you're down on the field and looking at the offensive line more. Talk to me a little bit about the decision and just your philosophy on field versus booth coordinating.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. So it's really the coordinator's preference. Casey, I've never been anywhere where the head coach has said, "Hey, you need to be here, you need to be there." I've done both. I would say right now, this is what I believe. Like, I think being on the field at times is better if you're gonna when you're calling it, only because, and this is my opinion, I think there's something to talking to your players in person on the sideline when you're trying to make adjustments. I think that there's a lot of value to that. Now, on the flip side of that, you can see stuff better in the box. You can. Like, obviously, later you got a better vantage point. It's quieter up there, and there's not a ton of like distractions. And so, and the other thing that is kind of a game changer now is we have those iPads on the sideline now that you can rewatch the whole series. NFL, they just get pictures. We have the actual film. So like that makes a huge difference now because like in the past, you're telling if like for instance I'm up in the box, like I'm telling the coordinator like, hey, this is what they just did, and hey, you're going on a board, and people still utilize a board, all that stuff, but now you're trying to draw it up from memory and what you drew down, you drew while the play went on, and convey that to the coaches on the sideline. Now I can just grab an iPad and look at it myself. You know what I mean? And show the players. So being in the box is definitely, I think, helps because you can see the formation. I think it just depends on too, like another factor is like what's your staff like? If you have guys that you really trust that can see it from the box and convey the information like in real time, like, hey, this is the formation, this is what they're trying to do, splits of receivers, like that obviously is really, really helpful. I was in the box the last 2 years, so I think I'm good up in the box. I've been up there before. I think that is a strength of mine, but I do think just talking to the players, like the one thing I didn't like being on about being up in the box these past 2 years was like anytime I had to talk to a player, a coach had to give them their headset, and I got to talk to them for like 30 seconds, and then it was like done. Which you're not trying to beat the kids up with information to a certain point because you want it to be efficient and quick and hey, send them on their way. But I just like looking a kid in the eyes and walking through a play with them and hey, what are you thinking? Or hey, this is what happened. This is what you should have done, not what you did here. You know what I mean? Uh, but I think that's a good question, and I think it's just the coordinator's preference.
I've always been interested, and I would think that your personal style and coaching mechanism, like I would view you more as like a Matt Patricia, more cerebral than like a fiery like Rex Ryan or Rob Ryan, like getting guys face kind of meathead style defensive coordinator. Is that a fair? You're more kind of calm, cool, collected throughout the games. I'd imagine that's what you aim to be this coming season.
Yeah, I don't think the time to, I think it's like if there's like an egregious play or a kid's not like giving effort or if he's like not being physical, like stuff that you can control, right? Like that's when I think I do get a little hot. But to me, the time to get like lose your mind, so to speak, is not during game day because you want the kids to feel confident. You want them to play fast. There's not a lot of time in between series. So if you spend 30 to 45 seconds yelling at a kid, well, there's maybe 2 plays already happened and it's third down and we're about to punt. And now you didn't even get to go over like what just happened. You know what I mean? So like, I think there's a balance to that, but you want to make the corrections. Hey, this is what happened. This is what we need to do to fix that, and then move on. Like, I don't think you don't want to spend a ton of time on just chewing kids' ass, because to me, we didn't solve the problem. You want to, like, our job is to fix problems and to make adjustments as fast as possible. So if it does happen again, the kids know how to react. Now in practice, that's different. I always, like, what I tell my guys every Saturday, they'd probably make fun of me, as I say, hey, Sunday through Friday is my day. Like, those are my days. Like, Saturday is your day. I'm going to be on your ass Sunday. Well, not Sunday, but Monday through Friday, because there's an intensity level, and there's we don't have a lot of time. So we need to make sure we're putting everything into this that we can, so we feel confident on Saturday when we go play.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah.